In this video, I challenge myself to make a Minecraft statue worthy of getting the attention of LEGO and Mojang. Across these 7 days, I pain myself into trying to learn a brand new skill and suffering a lot of problems on the way. So make sure you mind that subscribe button so hard that it breaks as we get straight into Now, like I say, this is a very different project. It's not one that anybody in the LEGO community has tackled yet. And it all stemmed from inspiration that I got about a year ago. When getting back into LEGO, I remembered these statues that you used to be able to buy. Now, these statues, fairly large in scale, were actually fairly niche among the LEGO community. And I'd be very surprised if you even know they existed, even though they were officially licensed. Now, of course, I'm talking about these Star Wars Gentle Giant minifigures. Now, Gentle Giant is a statue making company, and I actually have a few of their Star Wars statues, although not the LEGO ones. Now, these minifigures were massive. They were around 20 to 30 centimeters high, way bigger than the 4 centimeters a regular LEGO minifigure is. And as you can see, they have a few notable differences between this and their official minifigure counterpart. Things like bent legs, bent arms, and I think it's especially notable on ones like this Luke Skywalker. And I thought to myself, with all the advancements in 3D technology, like 3D softwares being just available to use, and the fact that we have things like Mechabrick now that gives us a catalogue worth of minifigures, wouldn't it be cool if I did this myself, using my modeling knowledge to make one of these statues? But I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if I did another theme, and also pick a minifigure that didn't have that many prints just in case we couldn't paint them on ourselves? And those two decisions alone took me to the world of Minecraft. Now, believe it or not, Minecraft is actually one of my favorite themes. I have a lot of Minecraft sets that I don't particularly make videos on, but like collecting as it hits that nostalgia button, just as much as you should hit the like button. But one of the beauties of Minecraft is the fact that it has minimal textures, especially on its main characters in LEGO form. You can see that a regular Steve minifigure barely has any textures that we'd have to recreate. So that would be the first minifigure I'd decide to do as part of this series of diorama/statue minifigures. But something I wanted to do a little bit differently to these other models is that these other models had a 2x3 plate, whereas I think I'm going to make my base look a little bit different. You'll see what I mean later. But for now, I think it's time to buy some equipment, and that means I had to rebuy all of my 3D printing setup. And that sucks. Waiting 24 hours is a seriously long time when you're waiting for a project, but I seriously ordered so much for this video, and I may have ordered a few things in the future in case this video does well and we want to do another one of these. And one of those main things was a 3D printer. Now, if I'm honest, I didn't buy this one. Even though I bought a lot of accessories for this project, things like paints, goggles, masking tape, the lot, this video honestly wouldn't be possible at all to do without the help of Elegoo. Elegoo sent me out this Mars 3 printer for you guys to take a look at in this video, as well as one of their curing stations. Now, I've had resin 3D printers in the past, but nothing as good as this one. And believe it or not, printers like this are not very expensive anymore, and you can create custom parts for your LEGO figures. And even though that's not what I'm doing in this video, it's something I intend to dabble with. This printer uses UV resin and a little screen on the bottom to basically pull your 3D print out of a liquid. This type of technology is seriously cool, and I can't wait to use it in this video. If you guys want to check out the full details, I'll leave a link to this specific printer in the description below, because trust me when I say some of the test prints I've done with this printer so far, the print lines are virtually non-existent, thanks to that 4K screen in the bottom of the printer. Massive thanks to Elegoo for sponsoring this video, and like I say, it wouldn't be possible without you guys. Alright, so we know we're doing a Minecraft character, but there's no point making anything in real life yet, well, not until we've got a solid plan. That's where digital software comes in, things like Studio, Mechabrick, and later on Blender. Once we have this plan, then we can fire up the printer and start printing some things. So we know we want a minifig, we want the minifig to be holding some accessories, and then we want a simple yet interesting base. And we also need to make sure we show off the minifigure's flexibility and put it in a pose that not normal LEGO minifigures can go in, because otherwise we might have just print an oversized minifigure. That'll really set this model out as being unique over other things. Exactly the same format as what Gentle Giant did so long ago, except we're going to try and fix the long janky arms.
2 hours later.
Now, I think this does a good job at emphasizing the environment without taking too much away from the figure. After all, this is just a base for the figure to sit on. Now you can see here I have broken a lot of the rules of Minecraft, not everything is a cube, but it still gives that illusion of everything being cubey. I want to do this thing with his leg, where his leg is actually bent as if he's stepping up this brick, which obviously would be quite hard to do if it was a full brick. But overall I think this tiny model does a good job of what I want this bigger model to look like. So building the model in Studio, then transferring it to Mecha was the easy bit. Then came the hard bit of adding Steve to this model in this pose that I wanted to do. Here's what he looks like in Fusion, and now I think he is ready to be 3D printed. You can see with things like his head, I've had to completely change the head/torso attachment pole so I can get the angle that I wanted out of the head, and I've also had to cut a little bit of the neck out of the body. And because I'm much more familiar with Fusion, I think the tolerances should be fine for when I'm 3D printing this in a 350% scale. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention, this was all done at 1:1 scale, mainly because the Mecha Brick files are modeled at 1:1 scale, but I had to throw this into a slicing software and blow it up to 350%, a test I did off camera to try and figure out what scale I wanted this 3D print to be in, and 350% seemed to be the sweet spot of not too big to the point where I'm going to use all my resin, and large enough to be a significant model. Now for those of you who are keen observers, I'm not 100% happy with the way that Steve looks. There are definitely some janky things like the geometry on his arms and some of the legs, but I'm hoping with a little bit of sanding I can get that out. Because I've only given myself 7 days to make this model, I don't have time to Google around and try and figure out how to fix this geometry issue. I know there's probably a really easy way to fix it, so if you know how to fix it, just leave it in the comment section below, I'll read everything. But with all of that, I think it's time to finally start printing. Now whilst you watch this little montage of me just trying to get all the 3D printing stuff done, I want to talk a little bit about safety. Now in no way is this a tutorial, and I want to emphasize that resin is not something to mess around with. You need to make sure that you clean all of the uncured resin off of the model before you go ahead and touch it, preferably with something like 99% isopropyl alcohol. And if you do get uncured resin on your skin, it's crucial that you go and wash it off immediately. So even though this is a really cool experience, it's also very dangerous, so if you're thinking about buying a 3D printer, just make sure you're taking the necessary safety precautions. Make sure you read the instructions that you get with your printer, and make sure to read the label on all the resin that you use. Different resins do different things, but from my experience, a lot of UV resins that you use in 3D printers just require gloves and a mask, and making sure that you're doing this in a well-ventilated area. PSA over, like I say, I've had resin printers in the past, so I know a little bit about what I'm doing, even though I'm really rusty at it. All of the stuff is now primed, dry, and ready for paint. And here's the thing, I'm not a very good painter. I've had an airbrush for a very long time now, and that's what I plan to use to not have brush strokes in this model, but I'm very inexperienced at this, so I'm really hoping I don't mess it up on the last step. But without further ado, I say let's get into it. So here's the thing, I used the airbrush, and I don't know if I've just got a faulty airbrush or this thing's just been sat around so long that it no longer works, but it was awful. It didn't work, paint came out all splattery, and it was clear to me within about 10 minutes that this idea was just not going to work. Now considering this is the last day and I only have this day to paint it, I had to make an emergency decision to go to hand painting. I was thinking about spray painting, but the markup on those things are more expensive than Lego itself, so hand painting it was, and with the final stretch, I really hope I can get this model done in time. Considering I only had today, I went to the one place I knew that would sell high quality brushes and paint.
my local Warhammer shop. I took my trusty Steve figure so I could try and match some paint, and the guys in there were actually very nice. So shout out to them if they ever see this. The guys in there told me exactly how to get the paint job that I was requiring in basically 0 time. And with paints acquired, I started layering down my base layers and would just have to hope that it looks okay. Now onto the most concerning part of this model, the face. Now when I primed and sanded the model, just to really make sure none of those 3D printing lines were going to show up, I accidentally sanded off Steve's face. So I had to make a new part within Fusion that gave me the template so I could use masking tape and almost build myself a little stencil so I could get the face exactly where I wanted to get it. Considering the face is one of the hardest parts of this paint job, as it's the most detailed piece on this figure, I'm really worried about this step. Considering I first had to layer down the face, where the actual flesh tone would be, then go back to the hairpiece color for the beard, and then the white of the eyes, and then on top of all of that I had to put purple on top for his pupils, all of the time the Steve looking like this, and me truly not knowing whether this looks okay underneath all that masking tape. Okay, that actually looks really good. Now just a few more little things to do, like the torch and the pickaxe, glue everything together, and after all that's complete, I guess we can move on to the money shots. And this is it. I really like the way that this turned out. I'm honestly knackered. I've never really tried to do this type of a video before, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I say, if this video blows up, I will definitely try another one of these. Maybe next time I'll choose a minifigure with a more complex paint job, but I'd love to hear what minifigure you would like me to make in the comments below. So why don't you guys go ahead and drop a subscribe in case you want to see more of these coming up in the future, and my general other LEGO videos, all focused on creativity and modding sets. Click the screen now to see one of my other Minecraft videos, and I will see you guys over there.